You're listening to the Basic Black Podcast.
This deadly U-turn has sparked a crackdown on truck drivers here in the state of Florida. This driver was in the country illegally, but he still had a CDL. Fox 35's Marley Capper is going to show us what the state is now doing to make sure these drivers are here in this country legally.
A devastating scene on the Florida Turnpike last week has turned into a crackdown on illegal immigrants driving in the state of Florida.
Someone that never should have been given a driver's license.
Hey, what's going on? It's Reggie with the Basic Black Podcast. As always, hello and good evening. Doing a little night recording. If you see the sign behind me, that's how I feel. I want to go ahead and give you guys a quick glimpse. I'm in the state of California, and everybody's heard about the illegal situation where you had the driver who was an illegal immigrant. He came through Mexico and was able to receive his CDL in California. Okay, let me tell you this from a firsthand perspective from somebody who lives here. You go to the MVD and you go to get your driver's license, you go get your ID card, whatever it may be. I'm speaking for me as an African American, as a black man. Hell, almost as a white man too. But let's look at it this way: if you go down to the MVD and you apply for a license, I can almost guarantee you, and if anybody says I'm lying, please hit me in the comments and tell me if you live in California. Don't say all that mess if I'm in Michigan, that doesn't matter. What matters is California, and you will see everybody but black, almost white, almost anything other than. And I try to tap dance around that minefield a little easy because, you just got to be politically correct. But I feel like as a Democrat in the state of California, I feel as a Second Amendment loving Democrat, I think that's what separates people. You think people who like the Second Amendment in California are Republicans. It's not true. I'm a big believer in Second Amendment rights and proper training and whatnot. California by far is no perfect place. And don't let anything that you see on the news convince you that it's better than most and whatnot. California has huge problems, and it seems and it stems from always trying to be over accepting of individuals that are not citizens, that are not residents, or that have illegally migrated, where they pretty much will treat everything like, don't ask, don't tell. And I think that's very frustrating because now you're starting to see situations like this, where for the longest, the crackdown was on Hispanics, Latinos, Latinx, whatever group you want to place them in. That was mostly the crackdown. When everybody said illegal immigrant, they were speaking merely about Hispanics. And that was so far from the truth. There's so many different groups. I mean, you still have you have Irish, you have African, you have just tons of individuals that are here illegally, from Venezuela, Argentina. I mean, the list goes on and on. Now, what gets me is you can pretty much so easy waltz into a MVD, and with very little documentation and whatnot, you would think you can get an ID card, but they're making it easier to get a driver's license. Now, from hearing from that accident that they had in Florida, I'm even more surprised that they're making it easier to get a CDL. As somebody who had a CDL-B when I was teaching, we had to drive a school bus, so we had to get our CDL-Bs. And I remember going through that process, all the verification and whatever and whatnot, and the fact that you can slide past that. I'm a citizen. I pay my taxes. I put in the work each and every day being a citizen. I go to work. I do everything that is asked of me to take care of myself and my family. I get bothered when I start to hear people that are starting to get a hold of the system, and California is a great example of misuse, fraud, and mismanagement. My wife is a nurse, And I would be damned in certain smaller cities in California, the Central Valley, like you would say, Modesto and Fresno and Atwater, Merced, Chowchilla, all in that Central Valley area, that you would go to one of the smaller hospitals, because we know by going there that the emergency rooms are filled with individuals that are not legal. And they go there because obviously you're not going to go to the doctor and you're not going to be turned away. It's these vicious resources that we waste in California, even being this high tax based state, that you would sit back and think like, okay, you guys can't be for real, but they are. The taxes don't decrease. The roads still look like shit. And you sit back and you expect things to get better. And we're not even talking about homelessness. That's a whole nother nightmare for another day. I feel that with the immigrant situation in California, they're actually starting to gain more compassion and resources than actual taxpayers. You know, I go to the grocery stores and I see the EBT cards, and I see that, you know, they got the WIC vouchers and whatever and whatnot. And when you are just going about your day, you can't miss it in these cities. But when you really look at it, what are they really doing? And with this gentleman who was now extradited back to Florida, I think this is shining a bigger light on things, because the problem is more than just Hispanic. It's a immigrant problem. It's a migrant problem in California. And we really need to address it, because if not, we're going to have more issues and we're going to have more problems with the ID and driver's license situation in California. Ladies and gentlemen, when I do a podcast, I try to give you everything I can from a first person perspective. What you need to understand is be careful on who you get your news from, who you get your information and updates from, especially when it deals with the state of California. There's a lot of creators that I work with that ask me, Reggie, you're in California, so what do you think? And yeah, it's pretty messed up, because hardworking individuals are getting ignored and other individuals are getting benefits and privileges and whatnot because they're avoiding paying taxes, which I really feel is a big problem. But the big thing is we have to address this issue. I rarely say I agree with Florida, but this time around, I kind of agree with Florida. We have a problem and we really need to address it, and especially with identification and with driver's license, and especially with CDLs, that they should not be in the hands of individuals that are not in good communication, understanding of the English language, or anyone that is not able to pass the test, and most importantly, that are not a U.S. citizen. Simply put, neither more, no more, no less. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this has been a quick tirade, and I hope everybody has a good one. Tip your servers on the way out. Thank you for listening to the Basic Black Podcast. I'm Reggie, and I'm out. I'll take it easy, y'all. Have a good one. Until the next time.